greatness, it's just something we made up. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is a gift reserved for a chosen few, for prodigies, for superstars, and the rest of us can only stand by watching. You can forget that.
What is up, YouTube? Live via satellite here, and today we are talking Kingdom, manga chapter 553. And guys, I am going to be honest, this is the first Kingdom chapter that I really didn't even want to do a review to. And it's because nothing this chapter went my way. Nothing at all. First thing I see is Yotanwa smiling at Heki, almost to let him know yeah, you can hit this. Secondly, I gotta see this Heki'S love fest and the mountain people just glorifying General Heki. And to find out, it's because they have this secret love of the plains folk. And last but not least, I have to see Sun Suiju pull a Nostradamus and predict everything that Yotanwa was planning to do on the 9th day. Like he knew her plan to the T. I mean, I already thought we had our backs against the wall, but apparently there was a little bit more room, and we scooched back a little bit further. But it is okay. It's not over until the fat lady sings. And just because she started, singing a little bit, if she doesn't complete the song, it doesn't count.
Maybe we can be together.
Alright, so the chapter picks up where we left off last week with Heki's request, and it appears that Yotanwa, hearing his request, smiles and then agrees, allowing the Heki army to replace the Mirror tribe as one of the key 3 armies in tomorrow's assault. And the funny thing here is that even though Heki is the one who already made the request, I don't even think he believed that Yotanwa was about to grant it to him. This face shows the face of a man who is shocked. I guess he expected her to say no. But not only is he shocked, but the entire mountain tribe is shocked as well, especially Kitari, who cannot believe what she's hearing. But Yotanwa does warn Heki that any further failure will not be tolerated. But the way she's smiling at him, it looks like she's happy that he's finally stepped up to the plate. And as Heki begins to thank Yotanwa, Kitari can hold her anger no longer, screaming out, "Are you goddamn kidding me?" She thinks this has to be a joke.
That is a joke. I get it. It is not funny, but I get it.
And as the sun begins to rise on the 9th day, we see Heki leading his army to the battlefield with a face that can only suggest that he means business today. And as Heki's receiving the reports of the mobilization of his men, he's made aware that they're not quite sure about the status of the mountain tribesmen that will be under Heki's command, which is a problem because they intended to set out right away. But to Heki's surprise, Kitari and Katari are already awaiting his arrival. And of course, when these two siblings are together, Katari has to try to keep Kitari on a short leash. And she somehow pulls it together so that her brother can reintroduce themselves, along with the 12 tribes totaling 5,000 men that they've brought with them to be under Heki's command. And to Heki and my amazement as well, we see the mountain tribe screaming out, literally losing their minds over General Heki. And I'm just thinking did I skip a page? Did we miss something here? But no, we didn't, because Heki himself is actually shocked, wondering just why are these 5,000 men chanting his name. And we find out from Punan that Katari did at least teach them that much, which was to say General Heki. But even taking that into account, Heki wonders why are they so ecstatic. And Katari tells him that he has a misconception about the mountain tribe. More than he can imagine, the people of the mountain adore you and your kind, enough to leave behind their homes and travel here to fight their enemies. Hearing this is all starting to sink in for Heki, but Katari does have to sneak in a little jab not to include her in that mix. And with the arrival of Heki'S troops, they now number a total of 10,000. And Heki asks Katari, how do you say move out in your language? And Katari looks and says to Heki, Luden. And riding out in front of the mountain people, the crowd begins to quiet down to hear what the great Heki has to say. And with an unsure voice, he speaks out, Luden. And seeing the unfazed mountain tribe, and then thinking thoughts of disappointing Yotanwa yet again.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down.
Heki screams out this time with conviction, Luden. This time causing the mountain tribe's morale to surge. And Heki, not wanting to relinquish his time in the spotlight, goes on to say that one of the 3 Kwangrang commanders will fall by their hands this day. Do you hear me? All troops move out. Off in the distance, Yotanwa was made aware that the Heki's army along with the Mera tribe have begun to move out. Also that Baguio has already begun assuming positions, and that the Figo king had finally dragged himself out of his tent, which Yotanwa remarks is quick for his standards. The Figo king is definitely not a morning's person. I wonder what it took to get him out of bed so early. And with that, the moment that will decide the fate of the mountain tribe is almost upon them. And then we see arriving on horseback old Impo, the leader of the Inshu tribe, who Yotanwa has summoned. And apparently he's kind of annoyed that she's bothering him now of all times. So he figures it has to be something important. And as the onlookers are rubbernecking, they seem to be questioning why Yotanwa was summoned old Impo, and also why he continues to call her Mantanwa. But Yotanwa goes on to apologize for interrupting him, and also adding that she needs to ask a favor of his tribe, which he quickly responds with no, which was kind of shocking considering he didn't even hear the favor. And obviously, this old man is going to play some key role in this battle, but we'll talk more in depth about him at the end of the review. And then we see that the Kwangrang troops are starting to move into positions, and who each of the 3 brothers will be matched up against. We see that Goba is in line to have a rematch against Baguio, while Bunen, who is considered to be the cruelest amongst the 3 brothers, will face off against Heki, which leaves the youngest Torque to go head-to-head against the Figo king. But as Katari is starting to realize, the important thing isn't who each brother is matched up against, which Heki is also soon to pick up, but the real important question is just how many of them are there? The enemy soldiers just continue to pour out. At the moment, the Bunen army that Heki's going against already exceeds 15,000 with more troops on the way. Over at Yotanwa's HQ, she's being briefed with this information about the Bunen army, but she's also given news that both the Goba and Torque armies are both already at 20,000 men. This news has Yotanwa's commanders in a panic. They believe it should be impossible for the 3 armies to be fielding more than double the numbers than they've seen up until yesterday. And with this news, some wonder, will the plan still be able to work? Then we find ourselves with Shansuiju and Rozo, who apparently are the masterminds behind this whole scheme. And Shansuiju says that with the mountain tribe's food coming to an end, the first thing they'll try is to take out their 3 commanders. And he says he can see right through the thought process of these apes. And Rozo chimes in that with these new developments, they won't even have to wait till they run out of food, which Shansuiju agrees with, saying that they will engage them and finish everything today. And that was the chapter in a nutshell, guys. And this was a pretty good chapter of Kingdom, guys. It kind of started off slow for me. I didn't expect to pick up right where we left off. I was expecting to kind of be getting the fight started, especially after having to wait a few weeks. But it wasn't a bad chapter by any means, because I kind of had this mindset coming into this chapter that one of these commanders would either go down or be close to being taken down this chapter. But in the grand scheme of things, it was still nice to have things fleshed out even further. And even though this chapter was more set up, that ending just took the stakes even higher. Like as if we didn't have enough things on our plate, Har decides to just throw a little bit more on it. But when I think about it, that will only make it that much sweeter when Yotanwa defies all the odds and finds some way to win this battlefield. And speaking of that way, it seems like Old Man Impo is going to somehow be the key to the Mountain Tribe's victory. And I really find him to be very interesting. He seems to have a weird dynamic with Yotanwa. Like, we've seen it a little bit last chapter, but this chapter even more so, where he doesn't really hold his tongue when he speaks with her, and she really doesn't reprimand him. In fact, she seems very respectful of him. And this man Tanwa stuff doesn't seem like an elderly Alzheimer's type thing. It seems like there's actually some deeper meaning to this. And I almost feel like he may know some things about Yotanwa that she may not even know about herself. And I definitely want to shout out my man Solaris290 for coming up with a theory last week that Impo, due to like the garments that him and his tribe seem to wear, also seem to coincide with the garments that Ten wears, and that Ten's tribe may somehow be connected with old Impo's tribe. And last week it was looking like they may be a part of the same tribe, but this week we did find out that the name of the tribe was the Inshu tribe, which is definitely different from Ten's tribe name, which was the Kyume tribe. So there still could be some sort of connection there, but we'll have to wait to find out more, because it would be interesting if Impo was somehow connected to Ten and could bridge the gap about her heritage. But moving on, we now got our answer to what would happen with Heki. And as a lot of people speculated, he was more or less merged with the Mera tribe. Even though he's the commander, it's still nice to have people like Katari and Kitari backing you up. And I think that's just the type of help that Heki's gonna need to be able to get the job done. And even though he's going up against the cruelest brother, I think that just means in terms of personality. While the brother Goba that Baggio is going up against is still considered the strongest. So we'll see how these things pan out. I'm really interested to see the Figo King in action against Turk, but in all, I'm just wondering how we're going to get out of this situation. So I really just can't wait to see what happens in the next chapter. But anyway, guys, that about does it for this week's review. Let me know what you guys thought of this chapter in the comments section below. Please leave a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.